Steven, you've been on this guy for a long time. Long time. This has been your dude since before the college football season ended. I mean, you personally convinced me without even trying to convince me to waste so much money on this guy to win a national championship game. So much so that, yeah, I haven't bet since. I have not bet on on a college football game, or really, I guess I did. We're snowed in Buffalo. We bet a lot. We lost a lot of money.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, but college football wise, I don't know that I've recovered. Michael Penix, Washington quarterback, Heisman finalist, guy out there that led the Huskies to a national championship appearance, that had the whole world behind him because this dude was going to be a stud, former Indiana Hoosier. He's got a top 30 visit with the Pittsburgh Steelers that seemingly came out of nowhere. Sparked the world yesterday during his pro day, running a, 4.53, 4.54, 40-yard dash. Took over. Obviously, he's got a cannon of an arm, so everybody was loving that. Now it seems that the Pittsburgh Steelers are interested when they were not interested in any quarterbacks as of 24 hours ago. You hear the news? You saw the news late last night? What were your thoughts?
I was completely stunned. I was floored, man. I didn't think the Steelers were considering quarterbacks, much less one that, after, we were talking about this before. Everyone looks good at his pro day, but he looked good at his pro day. I think we could have, I didn't expect him to run that fast, but you knew that watching him throw on air, everyone was going to lose their minds because Michael Penix has probably the best arm in college football, or had the best arm in college football this year. But him showing some more athleticism, he is going to shoot up draft boards. He was already considered kind of a mid-second round pick. He was considered a risk, I think, just because of the injury history. He was in a really favorable system as well. He had NFL talent all around him. People don't realize, not only were you focus on the receivers, but that offensive line won the Joe Moore Award for the best offensive line in football. He had an NFL running back behind him as well. He was surrounded by a ton of talent, but he did make the most of it. I was completely floored. I didn't think the Steelers were even considering him or considering a quarterback really at all, especially one that would go this high. But I don't know. To me, my first thought was, oh, they have to think he's falling for some reason. He's not anywhere near where people think that, or at least NFL teams don't consider him as highly as the rest of the draft community does, because I don't know, maybe they are going to take him with their second round pick or something like that. But that would seem like a misallocation of resources in my book. I love Michael Penix, but it is not a need that the Steelers need to fill with their second round picks. So that just leads me to believe, I don't think the Steelers are dumb. I think that they believe that he might fall, that there's a chance that he falls, to the third round or maybe even a little bit lower. I'm not really sure what's making them think that, especially because he comes out of his pro day looking golden. He's going to get wrapped in bubble wrap until draft day, and he'll be fine. There's nothing that really should change or raise or lower his stock after his pro day. So I'm not sure what's changing anything. I'm not sure where he's going to fall now, but I think the Steelers have to think that there's a chance he's going to fall if they're bringing him in for a visit like this.
Yeah, I agree. I think that they at least thought he was going to. I don't know if they still hold that same expectation, but I think going into the pro day, they had to be thinking this dude's late second rounder, third rounder, maybe a fourth rounder because of his age. Maybe he is the guy that sleeps. You could think about it. At one point during this draft process, we're talking about Bo Nix being a top 15 pick. Yeah. Now we're talking about Bo Nix. Who knows where he's going to go? Maybe it's not even in the first round. Who knows how these quarterbacks are going to fall? The top four, but everything after that's a giant question mark. Michael Penix at one point, there were mock drafts where it's he's the 9th pick in the draft. Now it's maybe he's a third round pick. So I agree. I think the Steelers kind of had some expectation that this guy was going to fall off their board or fall to their board a little bit. Now I don't think that's pro days do this every time. Every quarterback that, we were talking about Joe Milton yesterday, me and Nick were, and we were talking about how he looked phenomenal. And maybe he just threw himself into the 4th round. Guy's a 6th, 7th round pick a week and a half ago. That's what pro days do. I don't know if it's going to fade enough. I don't know if they scheduled this before the pro day or after the pro day, or, I don't know if somebody came up and was like, hey, that was phenomenal. You're coming to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I have no idea. I do think that it's very interesting because I mean, you still always have to take into account that the Pittsburgh Steelers, their two quarterbacks are on 1-year deals. Russell Wilson's here for a year, and as of right now, Justin Fields is here for a year. So you have no idea what's going to happen moving forward. Maybe Michael Penix is the dude that they're looking at and saying, of all the guys in the draft class, this is the most realistic. This is the one that maybe can fall to us. What's a good round for Michael? Like if you were the Pittsburgh Steelers, you know what I mean? You fully understand their needs. You understand where they have to go in this draft class. You have your thoughts on where they should go in this draft class. What is a good spot for Michael Penix to go to the Pittsburgh Steelers? At what point does it become not just realistic, but an okay move?
Yeah, I don't think it's before the third round. I mean, the Steelers only got one third round pick. It's the 35th pick in that round.
Two third round picks now.
Oh, 20. Yeah, that's right. I'm
Kenny.
sorry, I misread that. That felt like 8 years ago. But yeah, I think that like 98th overall pick, like that's probably the one that if you're gonna use it, you'd have to use it there.
Yeah.
Like I can't imagine he'd fall past that round, and I think you're only picking him if he falls to the third. I don't think he's gonna be there in the fourth. I'm not sure if he's gonna fall to the third, but that's where you take him. You're not taking him with the 51st in the second round either. So I don't think that 84th pick either. That I mean, I look at it right here, and it's a 14 or 15 pick difference between their third round picks. So, but I don't know. The 84th pick feels real aggressive for a guy like Michael Penix, but I don't know. Maybe you've got kind of a second chance in that third round after that Kenny trade. So I think that's the pick that I would look at, the 98th overall pick in the third round.
Yeah, I think I agree. Like, I think that the last third round, you have to address, like, you can't go, oh, okay, well, we'll just add a third quarterback. Who cares about a center or a wide receiver or an offensive tackle?
Look,
Yeah, you got Kyle
Why
Allen.
are you discounting Kyle Allen? Why you don't think he's in the picture?
It's very true. Forgot about Kyle Allen. Totally forgot about Kyle Allen. You're right. You're adding a fourth quarterback to a team that doesn't have a true right tackle, that doesn't have a center. They literally do not have a center. They still need a starting wide receiver. You probably need a slot corner. I mean, there are question marks here that are much bigger, that need to be answered much sooner than next year's quarterback situation that you may already have on your roster. I would say that's the move. Third round, 84. I don't think I'd be upset with. I don't think if I was a fan, I'd be super, oh man, I can't believe they did that. But at the same time, it depends on what those two picks were. Like if you're looking at it and going, oh, okay, we went Michael Penix, and then the Steelers don't get a wide receiver until the fourth round or the fifth round or whatever, then you're looking at it going, well, what the hell just happened? How did you end up with four quarterbacks and 7 wide receiver fours, but you don't have another starter, and you don't have a slot corner? I do think there are. I think that the third round is like the place where you sit and you say, okay, that's not bad. Here's the next question to that. Michael Penix is the oldest quarterback in the draft, just about the oldest quarterback in the draft. If it's not him, it might be Bo Nix. Is he a guy that you're still looking at and saying a year from now, maybe 2 years from now, he's your guy, not this year? Is that a reasonable expectation for a guy that's kind of old?
Yeah, I mean, if the Steelers are drafting him, it's definitely a year away.
Yeah, definitely.
I think this also gives me the impression that they're looking more closely at Justin Fields as a starter or as an option for this year than they were maybe before the offseason or before early when they traded for him. Because I could see the situation playing out that they give Fields a chance. They make a decision about an extension or a new contract. And if neither him or Wilson work out, like this is your backup plan. Like they're going to test both of those guys and see what they've really got and then decide, okay, well, like, I don't know. They're making those evaluations now saying, okay, do we need a real backup plan for the coming years? And this would be a decent way to lock up the future of your quarterback position if you're not thinking that if for some reason you don't think that Fields and Wilson are going to have opportunities there. So I could see that situation playing out. I could see Penix then getting a chance after a year if you don't think that Fields or Wilson have it. it would definitely be a down the road thing. I think that might be true for wherever Bo
You're
Nix
hearing
or
somebody just
what.
mow the lawn 4 feet from me here.
I didn't hear it honestly before you mentioned it. To be quite honest with you,
Literally right behind me. Like, these mics are phenomenal. Shout out, sure,
sure,
phenomenal. Uh,
sure.
um, let me ask this though, because you said that you said you don't think that it solidifies the Steelers' plans, and maybe they kind of view like, okay, we have to have the next thing ready. Do you have to have the next thing ready this season? Like, do you have to have the next guy if Justin Fields doesn't work out already on your roster in 2024?
Not necessarily, but I think this is an easy way to lock that up, I guess. Because I mean, if you're, I don't know, you don't really know what your options are going to be next year. The quarterback class is pretty thin, at least from this, like as we stand right now. Like there aren't a number of high level prospects going into next year's draft, but this year you've got a pretty deep quarterback class. Like the fact that Michael Penix is falling to the third or the fourth round. The fact that we're even talking about that, I think tells you how deep this quarterback class is. So I think there's some logic behind taking a quarterback from this class as opposed to waiting and just trying to pick something out of the pile next year. That's the way I would look at it.
Yeah, I agree. How loud is this guy right now? Loud?
Uh,
Going away.
not
I think
not
he's listening to
super.
me. I
Yeah,
think he's
he's
listening to
getting
me.
closer the more you talk to him, the
He
more you
came up.
talk about
He
him.
came around the corner. I'm telling you. So this is for anybody who doesn't know Florida. I know we're getting a little bit off topic here. I don't know why, but everybody has like 4 million people at their house at all times. It's crazy. Like, I've not slept past 6 o'clock because people knock on the door and they're like, "Hey, I'd like to start working on your house." And I'm like, "I don't live here, but okay, sounds good." Guy peeks around the corner, looks at me, goes, and walks away. And I was like, "Okay, thanks, appreciate it." So I think he at least knows that I'm sitting here. Shout out. Hopefully he's a fan of All Steelers Talk. You make a really good point with the quarterback class next year, where like you have like your guys, like your top of the Steelers aren't going to get a top pick. They're not going to get a first quarterback or a second quarterback. So if you don't know your plans, and if you're not willing to take that risk, that makes a lot of sense. That you're looking at it and going, why would we wait? Like, it's the complete opposite of the Kenny Pickett thing. Whereas you drafted Kenny Pickett when everybody said, stop, this is the bad draft class. Next year's another Kenny Pickett draft class and it's better than Kenny Pickett's draft class, but it's only it's very top heavy. And you look at it and you go, okay, like, maybe your options aren't going to be there in 2025. That's a really good point. I don't know. It's confusing. The Steelers threw a wrench in this one. The Steelers definitely threw a wrench in I think everybody's expectations for their draft plans as of right now. Where they go for this, I think more interesting is, where does Michael Penix end up by the time April 27th rolls around? Like, is he a first round pick? Is he a definite second round pick? Is he maybe going to be in the third? Does the hype fade and he's now back to where he originally is? I think that's where we look at this, and that's where the conversation goes next, because as of right now, you could just kind of assume like the Steelers, they like him, but I don't think anybody has any idea where this guy's going to go.
Yeah, because I mean, we're going to spend going on 15 minutes talking about this, and by April 27th,
Yeah,
it
totally
could
different.
not even matter. Like
Exactly.
it could just be it could be the 30th top 30 visit that the Steelers have, and where it doesn't even end up mattering. That he was even on their radar to begin with. So who
Yep.
really knows? Like, there's such a wide range of where Michael Penix can go.
Exactly. But it's a good preliminary. I can never say that word right. Conversation, because it's very interesting that they tossed that out there as early as they did.